My soul is my rage. My soul is my rage. My soul is my rage. My soul is my rage.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. I'm so happy that you guys continue to come back and chill with me, sit with me, read with me, discuss with me. I'm so happy to be, on this journey with you guys as well. Man, my week has been a little long. It's been a little long, but it's been great nonetheless. I hope that your week was pretty good. How was your week? Tell me down in the comments below. Let's discuss. Let's talk. What did you guys do this week? What did you guys do this weekend? Do you guys have any special plans coming up? I want to know all of that. But we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. Because I don't be liking to take up too much of y'all's time. So let's see. Leviticus chapter 14 verse 34. That was the only discussion point that I had from the whole book of Leviticus, because we're picking up from Leviticus 15 from last week, and that is all I have for Leviticus. So now forgive me, because okay, so I forgot to do the Leviticus ending count, so forgive me for that. But so the ending count for Leviticus, God talking to men, we have 6 instances of those. 2 blessings, 2 signs, 2 personal notes, 3 warnings, 2 women, 1 woman mentioned by name. We are moving on to Numbers. Congratulations. Look at you, just moving right along, right through it. So we in Numbers. And to begin, we got the Numbers beginning count. So Lord speaking directly to man, we have 61 of those. Curses, 2. 4 blessings, 17 signs. 4 times we see consequences of people speaking against who God has chosen, y'all. Excuse me. 3 warnings, 4 angelic visitations. I have 2 personal notes. We have 1 instance of the Spirit consuming or taking over someone. We have 9 women mentioned by name and 10 women mentioned, period. Okay, so diving right in, my first note is from Numbers 1 verse 10, and it says that I highlighted this to show that Joseph's tribe was split in 2. We discussed this previously. This is just proof of what we talked about. Okay, so let me see. Let's go there. Okay, yeah. So Numbers 1:10 is just showing that Joseph, his sons Ephraim and Manasseh. Remember when Jacob, Joseph's father, was on his deathbed and he blessed all his sons. Remember that he adopted Joseph's sons. He took them on as his own. And so that's why Joseph's tribe was split into 2, into his 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. Numbers, I believe this is a 5, y'all, but I don't know. I'm having a little difficulty reading my own writing today. Numbers chapter 5 verse 24. Let's go there to make sure. Okay, excuse me, I was wrong. That is definitely Numbers chapter 8 verse 24. And my note says, thought it was interesting that the Levites were to begin work at the age of 25. So that's really all that was. I just thought it was pretty interesting that at the age of 25 is when the Levites, the young men from the tribe of Levi, were of age to begin their work in the tabernacle and stuff. Okay. Numbers 11 verses 25 through 26. Even though two of the leaders were not present, they still received the Spirit and began to prophesy in camp. Highlighted this because it proves the point that you can encounter people who are outside the church gathering, who are outside of the church, the gathering place, that prophesy and have a word from the Lord. If it's his decision for them to do so, they will, and their disassociation from the church, your unbelief limitations won't stop that. At that point, you have to pray to do some checking in, reflection to see what's of God and what isn't. Try the Spirit by the Spirit. Okay, so this is right after Moses, he prays, or he talks to God, hey, this people that you got me carrying, they're a little heavy, I can't carry this burden all by myself. So God's like, fine, what was it? Find the number of leaders. Let's see. 70 leaders. So 2 of the 70 leaders was outside the camp. And again, this is right after Moses talks to God and asks for some help about carrying the load, carrying the people. And so, again, I just want to reiterate that the reason why we highlighted this is because just because someone doesn't go to the same church as you, you don't know what their religious practice is, what their spiritual practice is outside. If they come to you, thus says the Lord, pray about it first. I'm not saying just all willy-nilly believe them and go in there and walk with blind faith. No, try the Spirit by the Spirit, because if someone's coming from the Lord, they should be coming with a word of affirmation, Definitely pray about it, but don't be taken aback if you do receive a word from somebody and they're not what you expected it to come from, not who you expected it to come from, because it definitely can be a word sent from the Lord. Okay. Numbers chapter 12 shows an example of God hearing about a conversation Moses knew nothing about and handling it. That whole God hears conversations that you don't, evidence of something happening to a person who spoke against who God's called. Okay, so right here, we're at the point where Miriam and Aaron, they get to talking about Moses's wife, and then, or they see Moses's wife despise her, and then shortly after, they get to complaining about Moses, saying, does God only, speak to him, reveal himself to him? Anyway, they got to talking about him, and God called him out. He called all 3 of them, Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, and then he gave Miriam leprosy. Okay, and this is evidence of God working for you. This is evidence of God, hearing what people talking about, their conversations, and making it a point to go ahead and fight for you. And this is one of them where God punished Moses' enemies in front of him. Now, I'm sure Moses wasn't aware. Well, in the text, it says that Moses wasn't aware, but Moses was not aware that he was being spoken against, and God handled it. God took care of it. God handled it for Moses. Okay. And I'm just saying that God can do the same thing for you. God will do the same thing for you. It's a lot of times we just don't know it and he don't point it out. Or a lot of times we don't pay attention. We don't take the time to recognize, So we got Numbers chapter 13, verse 31 to Numbers chapter 14, verses 1 through 4. And it says, an example of fear mongering. Because 10 of the spies were afraid, they spread fear among the Israelites. Consider the source. Okay, so this is after Moses instructs 12 of the leaders to go and scope out the promised land. They go and scope out Canaan, and they scope out Canaan, and this is when 10 out of the 12 leaders, 10 of them were afraid of the giants and that they saw, and so because they were afraid, they began to spread fear among all of the Israelites, making sure to make it so that the Israelites didn't want to go into this land or whatever. And so this is an example of fear mongering, and consider the source. Watch who you listening to, who has your ear. Pastor Michael Todd from Transformation Church. That's a great word. Who has your ear? Who are you listening to? Who are you heeding to? Okay. Numbers chapter 14, verses 13 through 19, we have Moses trying to convince the Lord to uphold his reputation among men. Sometimes you have to do things in spite of the other person or persons. You have to keep your own word, build your own character. Just know for the next time not to speak out, act on, or do something you know or feel is going to make you go against yourself. So this is one of them times that God got upset with the Israelites and he was ready to, shank, kill them all. And Moses was like, yeah, don't do that, brother. Like, what will the Egyptians think that you just brought all these people here just to kill them? Like, these are your people, what will these individuals think? And so, God is God. He really needed no explanation. God is God, so he really doesn't care about what the people, would think, or he does, in a sense. Because let me not say that, because he ended up not destroying the Israelites like he planned to. So he cares. So excuse me for misspeaking. He cares. It's just that if he wanted to, he could. Like, he was very justified in doing so. But so Moses had brought up a good point, and the reason why I highlighted that again is for us. It's to bring up a point that sometimes in spite of the odds that you're coming against, in spite of the people that you're doing it for, sometimes you have to just go ahead and continue to do things in spite of the circumstance, but for yourself, for your character, for your integrity, okay? For your obedience in God and the Lord. Sometimes you just have to do things in spite of the circumstance, but for. In spite of, but for, okay? Numbers chapter 14, verses 31 through 34. Again, speaking of children dealing with consequences of parents, okay? That's that whole another point on the generational curse thing, okay? Numbers chapter 16. We're shown an example of what should be typical with church leadership. When people don't like what they're being told, they complain against leadership, who then still have to fight for you, some willingly and some with attitudes. How many of you be able to withstand that kind of responsibility? So I believe this is right after one of the instances of the Israelites complaining against Moses and Aaron. Let's see. So in chapter 16, yes, this is when, so we have three leaders, one who's the ringleader of all of them, but we got three leaders who are conspiring to rebel against Aaron and Moses. Okay, they incited a rebellion, and this is when Moses tells the ringleader, hey, look, bring your people. I'm gonna grab Aaron. We all gonna meet here tomorrow, and God is gonna show who he with, and who he's speaking to, etc., etc. They meet, they have the little powwow, the ground swallows up Korah and all of his band of followers, right? But so, in the midst of that, God continues to destroy the Israelites. So after the ground swallows up the rebels, God continues to, knock them down, because what, y'all? And so that is when Moses tells Aaron to take the incense holder and make atonement for all of the Israelites, right? So here you have this leader who is trying to do what God said. He is in charge of all of these people, and they speaking against them. They rebelling against him, making his job harder, right? And he still prays for them. He still atones for them. And I would almost want to say that he did it because he has to. But if God was ready, God was ready to make a new people out of Moses, okay? So I don't necessarily think it's because he had to. I just believe that Moses had the heart enough to still pray for them and have Aaron make atonement for them, And that's the same thing with a lot of the church leadership today. That's the same with a lot of these churches today. They are under scrutiny so much, like they are scrutinized so much. They are judged so much. And it's like they still are responsible for your soul, for all of that, your mind, will, and emotions, all of your well-being, and they still have to try to fight for your goodness when you fighting against them. So I just encourage people to, you know what I'm saying, give them a little grace, pray for them, encourage them, uplift them, okay? Because they some of the people that need it the most, despite what it looks like they have, okay? Because that leadership is hard. And just imagine, just ask yourself, all of the people that talk about you, that belittle you, that do you wrong, and you know they do you wrong, they knowingly attack and insult you, and then you still have to lead them. They fighting you all the way. You still have to lead them. You still have to care for them. You still have to maintain their well-being. Ask yourself if you be able to do that. Okay? Let's see. Numbers chapter 20, verses 7 through 12. Numbers chapter 20, verse 7 through 12. This is a good follow-up from the last scripture that was highlighted. Moses struck the rock just one more time than God said to do, and was told he couldn't lead the Israelites into the promised land. All this time he had been putting up with them complaining and them making idols, them rebelling, and he never engaged. Yet this one time, this one minute thing, and now he can't go see the promised land. That's messed up in my opinion. God was ready to destroy the people a few times. So even if Moses was upset and was doing too much with the extra tap, I feel like he should have been given some grace. Okay? And this is awesome. This is an awesome follow-up. It's even feeding me now. Because it's like, dang, here, okay, so here you see an example of just how much the standard differs from leadership versus laymen, okay? All this time, God and Moses been talking. They've been having conversations about the Israelites, and God been ready. Was ready to destroy the Israelites quite a few times, and Moses had to, come to their rescue, okay? And it ain't too many times that I read about God, that God is upset with Moses, that Moses upsets the Lord, okay? Maybe towards the beginning a little bit in Moses' calling and all of that. But towards this portion of the story that we get into now, I don't see too many instances of it. So, y'all, because it's messing with me. Like I'm trying to comprehend this. God told Moses to strike the rock once. Tap. He struck it one more time. Okay, he struck the rock twice. Just one more. And God was like, all right, yep, you can't see the promised land. You're going to die in the wilderness with the rest of these people. Now, mind you, all of the Israelites who were dying in the wilderness, they were dying because, okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, playing it in my head, okay, it's making make sense. Okay, they dying in the wilderness because they rebelled against the Lord too. They didn't want to go in the promised land and stuff. Okay. Still though, like, that is really, it's really, because I felt like Moses deserved to at least live in a promised land for like a day, a week, a couple hours maybe. But God said, no, you dying in the wilderness too. Okay. So, okay, fair enough. Not fair in my book, but fair enough. Numbers chapter 22, verses 1 through 12. We have our first encounter of a prophet outside the Israelite camp. Balaam speaks directly to the Lord and just so happened to be in the land the Israelites were getting ready to pass through. Just want to take this time to speak on the prophetic a little bit. If you know or had an experience of a prophet leaving just as quickly as they come after giving a word, pray and ask for clarity and guidance on it. Just because you don't know them personally or don't know where they fellowship does not mean that they are not called or sent by the Lord. It also doesn't mean that they are either. Okay? Try the Spirit by the Spirit. Ask for heightened discernment, for revelation that your eyes and ears may be open to receive. Okay? This is important because at the time, the Israelites, God is establishing them as his chosen people. So, to their knowledge, to their belief, God only speaks to them through Moses, right? But so, as we read in the text, there was evidence enough, and we see that God is talking to another prophet. However, he is not an Israelite. He is not from the Israelite camp. In fact, he is from somewhere else. But nonetheless, he speaks for and delivers messages for the Lord. He says, thus said the Lord. And again, that's important. That goes back to the whole, just because you don't know them personally, or, you know, just because you don't have all the minute details that you would like, doesn't mean that they're not sent by God. And it doesn't mean that they are either. Okay. So that's where your responsibility as a servant, as a child of God, that's where your responsibility comes in. You pray and ask the Lord. You pray and ask him. He's going to tell you. He's going to tell you. Okay. So don't go on these things blindly. And no, I'm not telling you to just be open to whatever. No, that's not what I'm saying. Hear me. Try the Spirit by the Spirit. Ask the Lord. Okay. Numbers chapter 22, verses 22 through 33. So I know we've all heard about animals being in tune with the spiritual. Here we see an example of a donkey trying to protect its owner because the owner is unaware. He beats the donkey for no reason other than not seeing or understanding what was taking place. This is also showing us an example of God giving an answer and man going back to see if anything changed. Okay, so this particular scripture is highlighted and it's speaking on Balaam. Okay, so after a king, you know, he goes, sends word to Balaam like, all right, Balak, I believe his name is. He's like, okay, come with me. The Israelites, they come and I want you to curse these people. And Balaam prays to the Lord. He's like, all right, you know, wait. I'm going to see what the Lord say. Okay, the Lord told him not to. Don't put your mouth on these people, they mine. So Balaam's like, all right. He sends the king's officials on their way, tells them to relay the message. The king ain't having it. So he sends more people, and eventually Balaam, he agrees to go. He agrees to leave, right? So he's on his way. He's on his journey, right? And so the donkey sees the angel of the Lord that was sent. Okay, so the angel is standing there with you know what I'm saying, the sword out of the sheath, like just waiting, because the Lord already said not to speak against the Israelites, not to go, whatever. But the king sent more people, so Balaam went anyway. All right, so now God has his angel there, just like waiting. Okay, and the donkey sees the angel, and the donkey's like, nah, bruh. The donkey tried to stop 3 times. Two to three times, the donkey tried to stop Balaam from going. And so it got to the point where the Lord caused the donkey to speak like, dude, what did you hitting on me for? Have I ever done this? Is my behavior out of the ordinary? Okay, something's wrong then. If I never do this, if I never behave this way, something is wrong. You need to pay attention to it. And we see that happening in the text. But, you know, a lot of times, you know, we hear people say that babies and animals are the first to pick up vibes. They read people. They sense otherworldly things. They sense vibrations, spirits, and all of that thing. We see an example of that here in the text with the donkey. And they do. How many of y'all have had experiences or something similar to that? Not of your animal speaking out audibly. And if you got one of them, please do let me know, because I would love to hear about that, love to read about that. But aside from that, how many of you guys have had an experience where your pet or an animal, you know, was picking up on some things and you had to kind of heed? Okay. And then that's all we have for Numbers. So the Numbers ending count, the Lord speaking directly to man, 61 encounters of that, 3 warnings, 9 women mentioned by name, 2 curses, 4 blessings, 4 angelic visitation, 10 women, 17 signs, 4 words from prophets, 2 personal notes, 4 consequences of people speaking against who God has chosen, and 1 being consumed in the spirit. Okay? Okay. So now we get to the book of Deuteronomy. Okay? Deuteronomy's a beginning count. We have 17 instances of the Lord speaking directly to man, 2 personal notes, 13 blessings, 5 curses, 5 warnings, 1 instance of spirit-consuming man, and 3 signs. Okay? So the first note that we have there is Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 6 through 21. This is another place outside of Exodus in the Bible that the 10 Commandments can be found. Okay? So we have our 2 places of where the 10 Commandments are in the Bible. In Deuteronomy chapter 5 and in Exodus chapter 20, I believe. I may be wrong. But those 2 places, Deuteronomy and Exodus. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 9, verses 18. Here we're being told that before Moses grinds up the calf and after Moses sees the Israelites and breaks the tablets, that he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. This would be a second occurrence for Moses and a third mention before Jesus. Interesting, as I just caught this point reading this week. That's why it's important to read all the Bible, because you have useful, important details throughout some books, throughout the Bible. Some books include details that others do not. Okay, so I thought that this was pretty interesting, and obviously I glazed over this as many times as I read it, because just this week when I was doing my reading for today's session, I came across that okay, this was right after Moses came down from Mount Sinai and he broke the tablets. He seen the people worshiping the calf that Aaron had made. And so it says that he fasted then for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. Well, he lay prostrate before the Lord. So, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights praying for the Israelites, which I didn't, that's a revelation. That's a new revelation that I just got. And so I'm excited for that. But so, okay. This is the third occurrence in general before Jesus, okay? So I just thought that was pretty interesting and needed to be brought up, okay? Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 1 through 9. The stipulations that are given to participate and go to war are very favorable and looks out for the best interests of the individual and all parties involved. I feel this is a great foundational tool that can be used when preparing to go to war, both figuratively speaking and not. It helps shift focus and lays priorities straight. Okay, and I actually want to read that a little bit, because I thought some of those points could be used for other things when setting up foundations for, like, when you going to war, when you got a goal you want to achieve, when you ready to tackle something, when you getting your team together. I felt like this is pretty good. So we're going to read that. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 9. Yeah, we're going to read that, because I thought that was pretty dope. Okay, so when you go out to fight your enemies and you face horses and chariots and an army greater than your own, do not be afraid. The Lord your God, who brought you safely out of Egypt, is with you. Before you go into battle, the priest will come forward to speak with the troops. He will say, "Listen to me, all you men of Israel. Do not be afraid as you go out to fight today. Do not lose heart or panic, for the Lord your God is going with you. He will fight for you against your enemies, and he will give you victory." Then the officers of the army will address the troops and say, "Has anyone just built a new house but not yet dedicated? If so, go home. You might be killed in the battle and someone else would dedicate your house." All right. You know what I'm saying? If you just bought you a home, if you want to enjoy it, go enjoy your house. Like, God was really looking out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the same with any venture you about to, you know what I'm saying? If you got priorities at home, go take care of your home first. You know what I'm saying? Then come see me, right? Has anyone just planted a vineyard but not yet eaten any of its fruit? If so, go home. You might die in battle and someone else would eat from it. Okay? Are you on the brink of a harvest? Like, you know what I'm saying? Are you on the verge of receiving fruits of your labor? If you got something that's building, or that has been built, and you're gonna receive a harvest from it, receive the harvest for it, and enjoy the fruits of your labor first, then come. So if you got all this extra going on and it's blessing you, and you're in a season of ripe fruit, go please and enjoy that. Enjoy that first, then come back and see us, okay? Has anyone just become engaged? Well, go home and get married. You might die in the battle and someone else would marry your fiance. You know what I'm saying? Your love life. Did you just get married? Do you have a spouse that needs tending to? Are y'all just fresh? Y'all in that honeymoon stage? Go. Tend to your home first. Then come see me. And I feel like home should be your first priority anyway, regardless of what you're doing. You know, whether it be starting a business, doing a business venture, or partnering with somebody, teaching, coaching. Your first priority is your home. Okay? Then the officers will also say, is anyone terrified? If you are, go home before you frighten anyone else. When the officers have finished saying this to their troops, they will announce the names of the unit commanders. So, okay, and that's always a good one. You don't need nobody on your team who is terrified. Okay, notice it didn't say afraid, because I feel like fear with anything is common. You gonna be afraid of some things. I feel like everybody's afraid of something, first of all, and it's just all how you handle it. But if you terrified, you ain't moving. That's like magnified fear, like to the point you ain't doing nothing. You just ain't gonna move with it, y'all. And that's all we have today. You know, our time was a little short, guys. That was a little quick, but all of them ain't gonna be long. And you know, I believe that all of these are going to be just the right amount of time. They gonna be led. We gonna be led. And so, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. This feeling a little weird ending this early, but hey, we gonna roll with it. So I look forward to finishing this up with you guys next week. I look forward to continuing. By the way, please don't forget to make sure you're liking, subscribing, leaving comments. Talk to me in the comment section below. Talk to us. I'll talk back. And we are going to pick up next week from Deuteronomy chapter 21. Okay, and that's where next week's session is gonna pick up from. Y'all, I don't know. This is feeling real weird ending this. Crazy. Okay, but I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna let y'all enjoy y'all's evening. Eat some great Sunday dinner for me. You know what? So I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna let y'all go. I had seen on Facebook this Philly cheesesteak meatloaf idea that I think I want to try, because it looked like it was bomb. And I mean, I had seen it 2 nights in a row at work, and you know, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm hungry, so I'm just looking at these pictures like, yeah, I think I need to try that. Yeah, look like it's hitting. So eat some Sunday dinner. What y'all eat for Sunday dinner? What y'all making me? Dessert? I love peach cobbler. Okay, I love peach cobbler. But it's been a blessing serving you guys, engaging, talking with you, just doing this. And I'm looking forward to the rest of this journey, man. Y'all stay blessed, be blessed, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Let my soul, my rain.